So telekinesis in all of its forms is either extremely easy, pretty much effortless, or impossible, damn near impossible. There's no in between. There's no middle ground because it's all about connection and communication more than it is soul mass. So with our soul mass, we can cause dynamic properties to happen. We can use our magnetism. We can become a huge magnet and force the elements into some type of response. We can use heat. We can collide our particles and cause friction and heat and force some type of response in the elements. We can do coldness. We can do electrical. We can use dynamic force to cause response to force responses in the molecular structures of the various elements. But this is elementary kindergarten level stuff. Um, Meaning, I don't mean to put it down. I'm not trying to. It's a lower level of wisdom. It's a lower level of understanding. And I see this so often in major teachers. I won't mention any names because it's not about calling people out or anything like that. But your typical teacher, when they're teaching telekinesis, the first lesson they'll have a student do is, okay, here's a chi wheel. Put your hands by it and start projecting, your force and or they'll say, here's a windmill planted in the ground, and I'll start to project your energy. The first thing they'll have you do is the telekinesis. And no, 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 no. There's so much that comes before that. I met in person, and once again, no names, but I met in person a teacher that teaches various forms of telekinesis, and he had his local students, and I was playing with them for a day, meeting with them for a day, and sharing knowledge and stuff. And they would move the windmills. They were really into aerokinesis. Well, later that night, I did an energy session with a few of his students in the kitchen, and we did the typical Michael Monk stuff. Like the stuff I'm into is showing a person their soul. Well, like if you have somebody in your life that's important to you, or even you've met somebody new and you would like to prove to them that there's more to life than what they know, you would like to share the miracle and the magic that you stand in. You could project your energy forwards and cause the wind to blow, and or maybe rustle leaves through a tree, or you could reach up into the atmosphere and start expanding until the sun comes out from behind a cloud prematurely, and they might be like, wow, that's pretty cool. And they might even believe, but then their mind might start going into doubt, and maybe it was just something natural that was happening anyhow, and he just got lucky, called it out, whatever. A much better thing to be able to do is like a type of biokinesis, like placing your right hand on their heart chakra, projecting your soul into their body, flood them from head to toe with the spiritual energy of the Holy Spirit, expand their consciousness out beyond their body until they're feeling the world, take them down into the earth, lift them up into the heavens, and then withdraw and disconnect. And then they just go back to their regular inside of the body third dimensional experience. That will be a jaw-dropping moment for them that they'll never ever forget. So that's my specialty as an energy practitioner, is that I'm really good at activating people. I'm really good at a distance, but especially in person, flowing my soul out of the body and into this body of another person to activate their consciousness, to bring them temporarily to the level of experience that you are at. And I say temporarily, but sometimes it sticks. and sometimes it sticks really well, and sometimes the activation is permanent. Sometimes they hold on to like 30 to 50%. Sometimes they only hold on to a little bit, but they'll always at least hold on to a little bit of it. Far more value in that than moving the elements. But anyhow, so here I am in the kitchen with his students, and we join hands and form an energy circle. And I project through the circle of people to where I'm inside of their bodies and inside of my body at the same time. I can feel the seat of their consciousness. You can feel that once you're cohabitating bodies with a person through soul expansion, you can feel a condensation point within them that is the seat of their current mental consciousness. Once you find that, you can then use your telekinetic abilities, your magnetism, to draw them out. So I drew the students out through the kitchen. In particular, the fridge was near us, and so I took them. I concentrated us all in the freezer and the fridge, so that they all felt the cold emanating from inside of it. They were inside of the refrigerator, and then I detached, and one of the students was just jaw dropped, and he was one of the main students. He's like, "Oh my God, like I've never done anything like that before." And I kept quiet. I didn't say anything, but internally, like, are you serious? And how the fuck are you doing telekinesis? Like what are you even doing outside with your hands and with the windmills and like if you've never soul expanded into oneness with something beyond your body, then I don't even know what it is that you're doing that you think is telekinesis. But I can explain what it is. It's dynamic, forceful manipulation of the elements, because we all have a certain amount of soul mass inside. And even if you're unable to sense it or feel it, if you stick the chi wheel in front of you and you focus with all your strain, you're going to cause a condensation of spiritual energy. But it's disconnected. You're not one with the energy that you're feeling, and more than that, you're not one with the element that you're trying to work with. But through dynamics, through electrical condensation or heat condensation, you're able to force a bit of movement. Well, that's not an exchange, and it's utterly worthless beyond showing off to a person that you can do something that most of the world thinks is impossible. Like, what is the value? So another problem we encounter with this is the idea of controlling the elements as being something that an evolved person does or can do. And that's why I use the analogy of kindergarten or grade school. I'm not using that to put down, but I'm saying there's a certain level of wisdom that once you have it, you no longer desire to control the elements, especially at the beginning, because they all have something to teach. I'm sure most of you have watched the Avatar Airbender series, or at least the movie. I just use that as an example. It's not a reference place. I didn't get any of my knowledge from that. I certainly didn't name my energy school after that. I chose the name Avatar because it's a word that means an embodiment of divinity. That's what an avatar is a physical embodiment of divinity. And I believe that we are all from divinity. We're all from God. All of us are from the Christ inside of us. We are all from Christ consciousness. So we are all avatars. And that's why I chose that word. But anyhow, in this movie, Ong the avatar develops this relationship with the elements. They all have something to teach, they all have something to share. And remember from our previous kinetic communion discussion, the Holy Spirit dwells in the absolute pure harmonic of each one of these elements. So God has something to teach us. By becoming one with air, we can learn all the air has to teach us about life, about configuration of your energy, about so many things. But you're not going to learn that if your first connection with air is with this strict mind. Okay, hey, you move this way. Like this is your first interaction with the air. Hey, you, air, move this way. Why? Because I say so. Okay, I guess you'll get some response, but air is wise. Air is ancient. Air has been around billions of years. We've been alive for 20 to 70 years, depending on your current age. So air has something to teach. It has a lot to teach. So in the beginning of this, you want to connect with the elements and you want to allow them to control you. So it's the opposite. If you truly want to embody wisdom, and you truly want to get to the heart of this, that's what you will do, because air has a lot to teach. So once you connect to air and you can feel it, then you can internalize that air, and then you can surrender your will to it. So you stop deciding to move your energy. Once you're one with the air, you relax and you communicate with it through the universal language of feelings. And thoughts are included in that. Every thought that you have gets translated automatically through the universal language of feeling. So every thought that you can communicate with the air, with your regular thoughts that go through your head. So you connect with the air, internalize it, and then completely relax your will centers and be like, show me, teach me. And then you allow the air to move you, and it will take over you. And then you'll start to feel your body moving. You'll start to feel your energy expanding out into the air, except it won't be you doing It'll be the actual element of air showing you what air is all about, showing you the density level, the compression, the way the air dances. Okay. And the same thing with water, the same thing with fire, the same thing with all of this. So most people are going about this the exact wrong way. You want to first, you need the authentic connection to spirit. Without that, there's no point. There's no point in the kinesis. You're only going to get so far. Um, it's not going to be that impressive. And what's the value? What's the real value? There's no value in power. The real value is in connection. Connection is the miracle. Connection is the gift that keeps on giving. Like once you're connected with air, once you're in communication with the air, the sunlight, and the earth, and all these miraculous things, you have a communication now. You have an eternal relationship that's infinitely growing. Whereas an ability, like let's say you could summon a 10-foot column of flame, that's stagnant. An ability is stagnant. It's not an eternal relationship. It's a singular thing. So at first, that column of flame, being able to summon it, would be the center point of your life. You become the center point of attention in so many other people's lives. It'd be amazing beyond belief. Like, oh my God, this guy that can summon a 10-foot column of flame. Like you'd be all over the place. You'd be the bee's knees throughout the whole world for a long time. But that time would wear out. And what would wear out first is how entertaining it was to you, how amazing it was to you. Eventually you'd be like, yeah, so what? 10-foot column of flame, like what good does that do? Anybody with a propane tank and a lighter can cause a 10-foot column of flame. So how valuable of a tool is it? And what are you actually feeling? If you're not summoning that 10-foot column of flame through divine communication with the element of fire, then you're not feeling it. So what is the value? The value ends up being zero.